What's up, guys? Welcome back to Nerd Media, and Creature Commandos has officially ended. So, this would be my review for the finale and the series as a whole, and just kind of expressing why I really enjoyed this show and why I'm going to turn that light off because that light is actually very distracting. I should have turned it off in the first place. It's pretty bright on the camera. But, regardless, Creature Commandos has ended. Let's talk about that finale and everything else in between. So let's get into it. So this episode pretty much follows Nina, who is probably the most humanized character of the bunch, which technically she actually is a human, but they do her backstory in this episode explaining how, she had her lungs basically outside of her body, all that stuff. Oh, by the way, spoilers, obviously, if you guys care about that. In this video, I've already kind of spoiled it, but not too much. I mean, that's kind of the tip of the iceberg if you really care about one of the characters' backstories. But, you know, pretty much just spoiler warning. But pretty much, it's just her backstory. It's another kind of sad one that James Gunn has done. I mean, the past like 3 episodes have just been straight up sad backstories. I mean, almost all of them are. I think the saddest one's definitely Weasel, but no, this one was definitely heartbreaking too because she essentially gets turned into a fish and stuff like that. I mean, it's crazy and mind boggling, but you know, I did not expect to see her. I mean, I didn't expect it to happen, but I wasn't shocked when it happened when she died. But that's besides the point. This episode, though, was very good. I've actually enjoyed this series a lot. I had a lot of fun with it. I had a lot of fun with it. Yes, it is kind of the same generic kind of James Gunn kind of format for a project, for a comic book project. It has a lot of that same James Gunn humor, and he loves to do tragic backstories. So you definitely get a lot of like what James Gunn does in his comic books projects, but I think it's done well, and I think his best work is Guardians of the Galaxy, but I think that this is definitely up there too because I think that he's just really good with comic book projects, regardless of people's opinions on his format and how he does things with the projects and the same like style of like humor and backstory and stuff. Regardless of that, I think he did a good job, and we got a really, really, really wonky but really good like start to the DCU because remember this takes place in the DCU. This is our new universe. We have officially been through a whole season of television in that universe, and I love how that was done. Just kind of how we casually just realize that we're in a universe that's already ongoing. It's not one that is just starting up like how the MCU just started up. I mean, we get name drops of like Gotham, Batman, Star City, so many other things, and it's not like a big reveal. It's just like it's just there and it just happened, and we have to accept that because this is we're basically being thrown into the middle of an ongoing DC universe. It has been going for quite a while, so we're gonna have to get used to that, and they're doing it in a really good way. And I mean, the reason why this chapter of the DCU is called Gods and Monsters, it makes sense why this was the first project, and I think that they did a really good job with it. I mean, I think that all the characters that we got, GI Robot, Doctor Phosphorus, the Bride, Weasel returning, Nina, Rick Flag Sr., all these characters were done really well. And I'm honestly really excited to see if they're going to show up in live action. Um, but enough about me talking about the DCU as a whole. As much as I would love to talk about that, this episode, I know I've said that already, but this episode was very good. This series has been good. I'm not going to say it's the best thing that I've ever watched in my life. I'm not going to say it's one of my favorite comic book projects I've ever watched, especially in TV format. But I will say I did enjoy it quite a bit, and I think that for it being a small animated TV show that not many people I think know is really the official start to the DC universe, I think it did a good job with it, especially with, like I said a few seconds ago, about this chapter, the first chapter being called Gods and Monsters. It makes sense to start with a TV show about monsters. I mean, it just makes sense. And the way that James Gunn was able to make us feel for every character. And after this episode, I think I could confidently say that this season is mainly about the bride. There's no doubt about that because her in this episode ends with her being set up to be the leader of the new team, which, by the way, consists of like Dr. Phosphorus, Weasel, King Shark, um, so many other people. I mean, like two other people, but I don't know the names of them. But if you guys know the names of them, comment down below. But yeah, it ends with her that and she thinks that she kills Frankenstein, and she kind of has that character moment, and she kills the princess. I mean, there's just so many things that happen with that character specifically rather than every other character in the show that I think was just done really well. And looking at this show as kind of a show about the bride and not more so about the whole Creature Commandos, even though it's called Creature Commandos, I think it works beautifully. And I am very excited to see her in the future. Hopefully, we see her in live action, but 100% going to see her in season two. They set that up clearly. And she's definitely my favorite character to come out of this series now. It started with G.I. Robot, then he died, and he was still my favorite character for another 2 episodes, but I think it quickly really shifted to her. And I think that she was probably the most well done character. I mean, Weasel we've already seen. Not really hard to get Weasel wrong anymore, besides his backstory, which is probably the best backstory of the however many we got. I mean, I really love that one. I mean, not really, but I love how it was done. And then you have Dr. Phosphorus. He's just pure evil. I mean, his backstory sure is sad, but I mean, he's just kind of like just bad. So you don't really need much more character development than that. But the bride is a very complicated character, so I'm glad that James Gunn took the time to dive into her character, and I hope that she's a character that we see later on in the future in the DCU besides season 2 of Creature Commandos. But I just love how this series introduced us to the DC universe and throwing us into an already ongoing universe with these characters who have already existed. And I'm excited for the future, man. I mean, I've been talking for 6 minutes straight about this show, but I mean, there were a lot of crazy things that happened in this episode that I don't think are going to have a huge impact on the DCU as a whole, and I definitely don't think we're going to see anything like crazy in Superman. But Bride does kill the princess, which is a key point as to why I'm saying that the Bride is like probably the main character of this whole show. Kind of like how Rocket was the main character of the Guardians of the Galaxy, like the underlying main character. I think that James Gunn's doing the same thing with the Bride, and I just think that it makes sense. Um, but yeah, I really liked a lot of things about this episode. I love how we're gonna be seeing characters like Rick Flag Senior again. We're seeing him twice again this year, by the way. We're seeing him in Superman, and we're gonna see him in Peacemaker season 2. Like we're seeing him like 2 more times this year, so I'm pretty stoked about that. But I just really love how James Gunn really fleshed out these characters and really made us feel for them, even though they really are monsters. I really enjoyed that, and obviously the big moment of this episode, besides Nina's death, was the princess's death. I kind of saw that coming, but I love how the show kind of had you on the mystery the whole series, where because there were a lot of moments where I went back and forth with thinking that, oh yeah, she's bad, oh no, she's good, and then I was kind of in the middle, and I didn't know until that moment where she kills Nina and just that look in her eyes and everything. I thought that was really well done. James Gunn did a good job with that. And yeah, I really, really enjoyed this show. I think that it was really fun, and I'm definitely excited for season 2, like I said before. And this was a great start to the DCU. As much as some people will probably say it wasn't, and that it probably should have started with Superman, I think it was totally bold of DC to just go with this show. I mean, the chapter is called Gods and Monsters, so it makes sense. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with this episode and this season. Can't wait for season 2. But I want to know what you guys thought. Let me know in the comments below what you guys thought of the series, and are you excited for season 2? And are you excited to see these characters hopefully return in the future? Because we already know we're going to be seeing Rick Flag and Superman and Peacemaker. But what about the other characters? Do you guys want to see them return? Let me know in the comments below, and make sure to subscribe, because by the end of this year, I want to hit 5K on YouTube. Big goal, but I believe we can do it if you guys hit that subscribe button, whatever it's called. And make sure to comment down below your favorite parts of this season, if you enjoyed the season, and what you're looking forward to most in the DCU. So yeah, with that, make sure to hit that subscribe and notification bell, like the video, and I hope you guys enjoy this video. And yeah, the DCU's first piece of content's officially over. Peace out, guys.